Need to Succeed, the podcast. This will help you get everything that you want. This will powerlift your life, give you unshakable confidence to achieve your biggest goals and wildest dreams. It's going to help you to create a life that you love and build relationships that you adore. Why am I so confident that I can give you that? This is my job. I'm a mindset and confidence coach. This is what I do for a living. I've never given these life hacks away on a podcast for free before, but that's about to change right now. So put your seatbelts on and buckle up and get ready to enjoy the ride of your lifetime. People call me the mother of motivation, the confidence queen, the person that you go to for positivity. This podcast will motivate and empower you to run at your life, and the fastest way you can do that is to use these techniques, the same ones that I've used in my own life and the ones that I use and encourage for my clients. The only question that is left to ask you is, are you ready? Let's do this.
Right, go.
Hello and welcome to Everything You Need to Succeed, the podcast. I'm Iffy Thomas and I have my wingman with me, Chris Gregg.
Hello, great to be here. I'm looking forward to today. What are we going to be learning about?
We're going to be talking and learning about how to be a winner.
Excellent. This is good. Everybody wants to be a winner, surely.
Everybody wants to be a winner. Nobody wants to be a loser. And I think it's really important that we look at what the difference is between a winner and a loser.
The question is, what does a winner have for dinner?
What does a winner have for dinner? Probably chicken. Chicken dinner.
Yeah, chicken dinner. You're a winner. So how can we make sure that we're a winner? It sounds like something that really you don't have a lot of control over. You're either a winner or you're not, or can you influence that?
Great question. Well, first of all, the reason why it's really important, and I wanted to call this How to Be a Winner, is because a lot of people think that the winners who are like the gold medalists, the Grammy Award winners, the Mobos, all those people who win medals.
They're special people, though. They're superheroes. They're not like you and me.
Exactly. And that's what I want to focus on. They are like you and me. They are just like you and me.
What? Really?
That's the thing, successful people think differently to unsuccessful people. So winners have a winner's mindset and losers have a loser's mindset.
Okay, so how can I make sure my mind is set in the right way? How do you adjust your mental settings? Is there a special secret hidden menu inside your brain?
Well, I wish there was, and I would love you to visualize it like that. So when you make a decision that you want to be a winner, the cogs in your brain start to change, because to become a winner or to become somebody that you've never been before, you have to actually become somebody you've never been before. You can't get where you want to be remaining who you are.
It's like in Toy Story when Buzz Lightyear gets switched into Spanish mode and then they have to try and factory reset him to get him back.
Look at Everything You Need to Succeed, the podcast, a bit like a factory reset. It's a bit like a reboot. But before we reboot, we have to understand, we have to know what is actually saved on a hard drive.
Maybe it's like upgrading yourself to version 3.0, like when your operating system needs an upgrade, or when your phone goes to sleep at night and it wakes up in the morning, it's got all these cool new features on it.
Well, I think you're not going to go to sleep at night and have cool new features, but every time you tune into the podcast, you will leave with some new features, apps that you can install into the mainframe of your brain, let's say.
I love this idea. So the main thing today is, how can we make sure that we're a winner? What can we install? What can we adjust in our settings to make us have that correct mindset that makes us believe that that's possible?
Yeah, we can do that. And it's a bit like, imagine you could turn up like a Currys store or some local appliance store or computer shop, and you were going to be able to get something to install into your brain.
Yeah, let's give that a try. You walk into Currys and say, I'd like a special chip that makes me a winner, please. Do you sell those?
Well, the chip that you'd have to ask for is the self-belief chip. You'd have to have the install into your brain the belief that I am somebody who deserves to live a great life, and I know that the universe is conspiring for me to succeed. If you had that belief that, I am here to do great stuff and the world will conspire for me, that will be the first place to start.
Great stuff, great but terrible stuff, but great stuff. That's a Harry Potter quote. Have you seen Harry Potter?
No.
No, okay, just don't worry.
If we're talking about Harry Potter, what I can tell you, the fact that we're talking about a winner's mindset and a loser's mindset, I love the story of J.K. Rowling. I love her story of the fact that she was on a train traveling from Scotland to London, and she was a writer and she wasn't doing well, and she had this idea that all of a sudden this idea came into her mind. Little boy goes to wizard school, and I heard her explaining this to Oprah, and she was saying that she had all these ideas about him going to wizard school and how nobody knowing, and him having this scar, and she said, and she had all these ideas and she didn't have a pen. Said so the whole journey she was trying to hold the story in her mind, but didn't have a pen.
Like when you've got a dream that you think you're going to forget any minute, and you usually do before you've had a chance to try and remember it. Exactly.
And she didn't have a pen, and she tells a story of how when she I think this woman is fantastic. She's one of the first women billionaires. So
did she like write it on the train window in lipstick or something? The whole of Harry Potter, chapter 1.
I actually don't know how she did it. I think she said that she just held it in her mind. But one story that she talks about, which is really does feed into this conversation, she said that she introduced her manuscript to 28 different publishers who all said, we're not interested in a story about a little boy that goes to wizard school. Oh, they must be feeling sick rather now.
I bet they're kicking themselves. But it's like the Beatles got turned down, didn't they? So did Elvis. Like a lot of
and Mariah Carey
really successful people probably have had their share of rejection.
It's not just one number. I think Mariah Carey got turned down by 19 different record producers.
What?
They said, we've already got a Whitney Houston. We don't need a Mariah Carey.
Not one that can sing that particular note that breaks all the glasses.
Exactly. So you have to understand the people who are winning, they didn't just arrive there. They're no different from you and I. The only difference is that they are willing to keep going and persevering no matter how long it takes. Now, I want you to think about how many times, Chris, I want to know what's the highest number of rejections that you've had for one specific thing that you want?
Oh, I think probably applying to be on the radio, I must have had a few dozen.
What,
letters.
24?
Maybe 20 or so. But just, when you send an application off to lots of different places that you might want to work, and you get loads of rejection letters back, and a lot of people that want to work in radio do that. And they used to, when there were lots of different owners of the different radio stations, you'd start collecting this file of all the rejection letters all on nice headed paper.
That.
And some of them are nicer than others. Some of them are really positive, and they give you feedback and say, okay, if you did this differently. Some of them are just nope. And it's really
Stings.
sad. It's always the ones that you really want that you just get a really rude reply, and it's really sad because you have respect for these places.
Yeah, but you experience it, and the fact that I'm visualizing a folder of no's, and if they could see you now, and I think that's the point, isn't it?
I think every successful radio presenter has got one of those folders of all
do.
the people that have rejected them.
But I think
it's part of it.
And I agree. I don't just think it's every successful radio. I think every single person who is a winner will have a file, maybe a digital file, because I've got a digital file on mine. All the no's are in like their own little no folder, and I drag the rejection into there. And my goal is to get to 100 no's for every single thing that I try. And I've never got up to 100. Like with my book, I got 33 people said no, and then it got put into a bookstore. So
that really sucks. I bet you were gutted. I bet you're thinking, I only need another 63 of these, and
I needed 67 more no's. I thought, do you know what? But the thing is if you have the commitment of I'm going to get as many no's as I can, you will never get 100. No one ever tries that many no's. Like, come on, J.K. Rowling got 28 no's. Mariah Carey got 19 no's. You got 20 no's. Do you know anyone who's had 100 no's and not got where they wanted to be?
No. But it's worth a go. Give it a try. See if you get up to 100.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And that's my mentality. So how do you be a winner and how are you a loser? Well, losers think very differently because winners are always thinking about what they want. Losers are always thinking about what they don't want.
So would you say a loser is a lot more likely to quit after the first rejection, and winners are the ones that actually probably lose more often because they don't win every time, but they keep trying and eventually they do win?
Yeah, I think I read a statistic about Michael Jordan that he had the most misses, but he also had the most, what they call slam dunks, hoops.
I think it was Tiger Woods that had a lot of misses.
Yeah, but yes. But the point is that you miss 100% of the shots that you never take.
Yeah, true.
So you got to keep swinging.
We're back on to Tiger Woods here.
That's what I was thinking. Oh no, here we go. But my point I'm trying to make is that this is all about making sure that you understand the mindset that you have to develop, because if you want to become somebody that you've never been before, you're going to have to change who you are. It's imperative you change.
If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
I love that.
That's the thing, isn't it?
And the thing is, it's not something that people go, no one disagrees with that, but yet we still keep trying to do the same thing. It's about understanding and having that self-awareness to say, these people are succeeding not because they've got rich parents and because money grows on trees and because they are just beautiful people. They're succeeding because they think differently. I
think, but also they take the rejection and the failure as a learning, and they adjust their approach very slightly every time, and they get better and better and better. I think you could have 100 failures and learn nothing, and have 100 more, and you'd never get anywhere. But if you're constantly having that ability to question yourself and say, okay, maybe I got rejected because I wasn't good enough at this point.
Yeah.
What can I do to make myself employable or make myself successful at this? Because, the people on the other side of those rejection letters, they would have loved to have had an application from somebody that was brilliant that they could have employed. It wasn't that person at that point.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I love the story that you told about, when people are applying to come to this radio station, you're now on the other side. So Can I ask you, do you write nice rejection letters or not?
It's more done in person, I think, because this is the sort of place where people will just come through the door and talk to you, and it's a lot more difficult when you've got to look somebody in the eye and say no, and I'm not very good at saying no to people, so it's tricky. But
so have you said yes to people that you really want to say no to?
I think I see the.
Was I one of those people?
Yeah. Well, why do you think you're here? No, I think everybody's got potential, and I think part of what. So this is a community radio station. So what we're about is letting people come here and develop their skills, get trained, and become at a point where they actually bring something to the table. But when they first come through the door, they might not be able to do very much. They might need a lot of training, a lot of coaching, and maybe it's a difficult decision about whether it's worth putting the time into working with that particular person, where you could have 3 other people that need less work that could bring more to the table. Yeah. So it's a difficult one. But I think if I was writing rejection letters, I'd take the time to put something constructive in there. And when I have actually had a paid position that I'm recruiting people for, I spend a lot of time replying to emails and giving people feedback on their demos and that kind of thing. Because I think that's really important. You've got a responsibility not to crush people's dreams when you're sending them these letters back. And a lot of time it just comes from some HR person that's just got a standard letter that they just bang out to 50 people that have sent the applications in.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's an insight, isn't it? The standardized letter. And I think it's important that we talk about it, because if you really want to succeed, which is what this podcast is, everything you need to succeed, first of all, you have to recognize that you might be somebody who wants to be a winner, but you might not have learned how to win yet.
Yeah, and also just particularly with job applications, understanding the process, understanding the rules of the game and how you get through to an interview. Because my thing is, if you get an interview, then it's a level playing field. You've got a chance to prove yourself. But a lot of people get filtered out by the algorithms and things before they actually get to the point where they get the interview. And nowadays it's all done digitally. It's a lot harder to get in front of the people that are making those decisions if your CV doesn't have the right keywords, or if you haven't got the right experience, or on paper you don't look like the right fit for what they're looking for. So it's about leveling the playing field a lot, I think.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So with that information, if you're somebody who has this desire to really succeed in an area, you have to know the information that you're dealing with and know that you might be working against an algorithm. And if your goal is just to get in there and have the interview so they can meet you, in those first few seconds, they're going to make a decision whether they like you or don't. And then the rest of the time, they're going to support their first initial decision.
Yeah, but my advice in that is change the rules. Rip up the rule book, play by your own rules, ring up the person at the company that's making the decision, link with them on LinkedIn, send them an inbox and say, did you get my CV? Have you had a chance? And then out of curiosity, they're going to want to know what you're bringing to the table. Explain to them why you might not have the normal set of skills they're looking for, but your transferable skills are exactly what they need for that role. That would be my tips.
I love that, and that is exciting, because if someone comes in with that and says that, you're like, this person's hungry, this person wants it. Yeah. But to get to that,
That's what they want. I mean, people have sent me Kit Kats or a tea bag or something and said, have a break, listen to my tape, see what you think of my show. And it gets you noticed.
And
it's
did you
cheesy and
listen
corny.
to it?
Of course I did. And I ate the Kit Kat and it was nice.
There you go. So Chris is basically subliminally messaging.
Send me chocolate.
Send him Kit Kats or sausage rolls. Either way, he'll be happy.
To be fair, pizza's even better, but that doesn't go well through the post.
No, don't.
There wouldn't be a lot there when it got here.
Oh, that would be awful. Yeah, so Chris likes Kit Kats, and you can take a break, listen to my track. But that's what it's about. It's about thinking outside the box. But to get to that level, these are a few things that we're going to be covering on the podcast. To get to the level where you are relentless and you are unafraid of rejection and you're willing to put yourself out there, we're going to have to do a lot of work to get you to that point. So what we're talking about right now is about making sure, first of all, you have the belief systems in place. Do you believe it's possible for you to achieve your goals? Because in episode 1, we were really talking about clarity, deciding what you want. So you've decided what you want. Do you believe it's possible? And do you understand that to get what you want, you can have it just like everyone else? They're not better than you. And I find a lot of people have in their mind this idea that I wasn't very smart at school, or I'm not pretty enough, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too thin, I'm too fat, I'm too black, I'm too white, my parents are poor. And we have all of these beliefs that we think are holding us back from being able to get what we want. So I think that the first thing we have to understand is that people who are doing well are not better than you. They're not. They've just learned how to do the thing that you want to do.
Say you accept that you need to change the way that you believe. How do you actually do that, though? How do you change the little voice in your head that's saying you're going to fail at this, you're not going to succeed? How do you make yourself believe that you are going to succeed?
What a great question. Well, there's a really great quote which I read, and it really has always laid with me. It's by a guy called Napoleon Hill. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, and it sold millions of copies. It's probably one of the best business books that you could one of the best personal development books you could read. And there's a quote there that says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. So if you can believe that it's possible for you and you can see that it's possible, then what will happen is it will show up. But how do you make sure that you deal with those negative, that critic within, that voice that says you're not good enough, you can't do that? Is the first thing is you have to recognize that there is a voice, that there is that part of you inside of you that wants to stop you, and it will squeal whenever you try to do anything different to what you've done before. So it's about being able to manage your thoughts. Your thoughts are so powerful. You know, when we look at winners and losers, winners think very differently. So if you're somebody who's saying, actually, I do want this, I do want to succeed, but you still get those negative thoughts that pop up, you have to recognize when they come up, and then you have to grab them, and you have to literally stand on them and squash them and say, out, out. Because if you let them stay in and fester, what they do is the voice gets so loud that eventually you start to believe this, which is not true. And it's probably never been true for you, but you've believed it. So it's a battle. This is everything you need to succeed. This is not a walk in the park. I'll say it again, it is not something that most people are able to do. They're not able to shift their mindset.
So you've got a battle going on inside your head between the forces of positivity and the forces of negativity, and you've got to make sure that you're arming the right troops to battle out and kind of
to win through
against all those negative thoughts.
Absolutely. And you also have to look at it like you're guarding your mind. You've got to guard your mind. You have to make sure that you are in control of what's coming in. So if you're spending a lot of time watching the news or surrounding around people, ain't it awful, isn't the world a bad place, then what happens is you start to let those thoughts come into your mind. But the great thing is there's a thing called the law of substitution, which states that you can only hold one thought in your mind at one time. So if you have the thought, I'm going to apply to come on, I'm going to contact Chris Gregg at Revolution Radio, and I'm going to speak to him about how I want to do a show about parenting. And then all of a sudden this voice comes in, what do you know about parenting? Your children are only young. You're going to look silly. He's going to ask for your credentials. You don't have a parenting, a psychology, a child degree. Maybe you shouldn't go there. He's going to find out. And you have to be able to go, say to that voice, shut up. Just stop it. I can do this. And you have to be able to say, this voice is coming up because this is the way I've always thought. But if I want to change my life, I'm going to have to quieten that voice down, which means, like you said, I'm going to have to be louder. I'm going to have to say, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
And is it worth having little mantras and things that you repeat to yourself of all the positive things, or does it need to be a bit more specific to a situation?
Really great, and we will definitely talk about that in our next episode, which is all about how to build your core muscle, how to build your self-esteem. But ultimately, what we have to do before we can get to the layers of building in those positive affirmations and, you know, doing the really nice words that we say to ourselves and catching those negative things that are coming, we have to first of all accept that where we are now is a result of everything that we've thought in the past. And where we're going to be in the future is going to really depend on what we do now, and that each one of us has got a level playing field. I think when you think, oh, I started off worse than you, that is definitely a negative mentality to think, well, my parents were working class, or I only have a mum and a deadbeat dad, or I'm thick, or I'm not clever, or all of these are just limiting beliefs that are just holding you back.
And you might have recognized some of those as thoughts that were in your head and thought, oh yeah, but it's true, I have a deadbeat dad. But no, that's a negative thought. That's you've put that in your head.
Like we said about truth, often what we believe, we think is true. But a lot of the things, we have to go back and we have to re-look at our belief systems. We have to give you an example. On the ground, there's when I was growing up, there's these 3 drains. They had all these 3 drains. People, don't walk over the 3rd drain. Don't know. Like, if there's 3 drains, you don't walk over the 3 drains. Did you have that?
Yeah.
Like, people would literally push you into the road, into moving cars to avoid you from walking over 3 drains.
Very, very bad luck. A lot of people have that superstition that if you walk over 3 manhole covers or 3 drains, nobody knows what happens because no one's ever taken the risk and done it.
Exactly. But do you know what? That is a limiting belief, because I found out that the reason where that come up from is because in London, when they first put the 3 drains, because it used to be 2, they hadn't fixed the 3rd one correctly. So people were stepping on it and going into the holes of London.
Plummeting into the depths of the earth.
And breaking their legs and it was a thing. So because of that thing that happened, it managed to travel from London all across the UK to make people afraid of walking over 3 drains. This is like at least 40 years ago.
But, isn't it best to be on the safe side?
Yeah, absolutely. I would not walk over 3 drains. But sometimes we have these belief systems and these ideas in our mind that we don't even know how they got there. We don't even know what the root cause of it is. So this, I really want for people to take away from this is to actually examine your belief system and say to yourself, why do I think that about me? I remember someone said, oh, people who drive Range Rovers, they're drug dealers. Where did that come from? Where did that come from?
I think it was Line of Duty.
Oh, really?
Well, in that program, they're always driving blacked out Range Rovers.
And
they're always
dealers.
the baddies.
That's what I mean. So, it's been subliminally positioned on you to believe. Now everyone's going to think that all radio people like Kit Kats. You know that they're going to think that you all like Kit Kats.
I think in this survey of 1, it's 100% like Kit Kats. But, there might be people out there that prefer dairy milks. And to be fair, any chocolate's good.
Or lactose intolerant. There could be a lot of, that people have the stereotype that all muscular people with tattoos are aggressive. Like, where did that come from? It's like, so what we need to do, if we really are going to use this episode as a springboard so that we can fly forward into the future to get where we want to be, well, the first thing we have to do is we have to look at where we are. We've already measured all of our issues that we have. Now we have to say, what do I believe is possible for me? And am I willing to remove some of those limiting beliefs that I've told myself about me, like I don't learn very well, or I'm not a very good singer, or I'm not a very good dancer, or I'm not very good at sports, I don't get on well with people, I've got anxiety and I get nervous, or I'm shy. All of these things, just examine them and say, is this actually who I am, or is this the cloak that I've put on? And I want you to take off the cloak, and I want you to say, I was thinking of Joseph.
Joseph's in his Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Because he was on here, wasn't he, recently, on What's On News? Yes,
well, exactly. So if you are Joseph and you're wearing this, nobody would have actually gone out in a coat that was every colour of the rainbow.
Drew back the curtain. Yes, but who would go out like that?
Only Joseph. And it didn't end well for Joseph. So take your coat off.
Hang
it up.
Yeah.
And then
examine it. Examine your coat and have a look at all the different beliefs that you've got that have been stitched into the fabrics of who you think you are, and start to unpick them. Start to slowly unpick them and lay them out and look at them. And it's like if you were going to, say for instance, you were going to go into your drawer, your school drawer, and you've left school now, so you've got all your old school uniform from year after year and you no longer need it. It's like you just pick it up and you look at it and you say, does this serve me anymore? No. And then you just put it away. You just get rid of it. You don't get angry at it.
Send it to the charity shop.
Yeah.
And somebody else will find a use for it. But yeah, I've got a whole drawer full of stuff that I'm never going to wear again, but I think my old Tesco's uniform is in there somewhere.
That's what I mean, and that's baggage. It's baggage that you can, like, metaphorically and physically, like, it's about being able to clear away the old to make way for the new. That's what Steve Jobs says. He says nobody wants to die. People who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there, but death is the thing that we cannot escape. It's life's change agent, and what it does is it clears away the old to make way for the new, but right now the new is you. But if we think about that quote, it could actually be, the new is now for you. So it's about saying, what can I clear away that I've been holding on to that I really think is me when it's not me? That's what maybe my neighbour said about me, or my school teacher said about me, or my ex-husband said about me. No, that's not who you are. Clear it away. Have your fresh drawer. Get rid of that Tesco's outfit because it's not going to serve you anymore. And then say, like, what beliefs do I want to start putting into the drawer? What outfits do I want to start wearing?
That is brilliant. And imagine how you'll feel when you've kind of got rid of all of that limiting belief. You'll feel fresh.
Freeing.
And it'd be like you've got a nice clean white t-shirt on.
Exactly. It's like you get to start again. And when you think about babies come into this world with a blank slate. All these impressions and imprints of people around us and our people, things we see, things we read, our grandparents, our neighbours, they all leave these deep groove impressions on us. And then we carry ourselves around with that t-shirt with all those imprints and we own it like it's ours. But we, at any time, like you said, we could take that t-shirt off and get a new one. It's like rewriting. It's
nice
like,
clean
yeah.
one. It's when you've got stains that won't come out. Like I was driving home in a nice crisp white shirt and I thought I'd have a cheeseburger in the middle of the night. Driving a car one-handed, ketchup, bloop. And that shirt's over.
Is it? But it'd be like you putting it on and wearing it every day with the stains.
With the stains there.
And not letting it go and saying, but I caused that stain. I did that.
It's definitely a conversation starter. So there we go. That was this episode. What are we going to be talking about next time?
Oh, I'm really excited because next time you actually did talk about it a little bit. We're going to be talking about how to build your core muscle.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah, how to build your self-esteem and how to, stay lean, how to have unshakable self-confidence so you can really just go for it.